شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Today inshallah we'll be looking at the next bab from our book Ad-Durarul-Bahiyah fil Masail al-Fiqhiyah by Imam Muhammad ibn Ali al-Shawkani rahimahullah. You know, sometimes you just think about readings like this. In the past, I'll say we because we were part of it all, we are used to it. That when we go for a regular program, somebody just comes and starts talking. We can give a topic. Turkey's bombing of Syria, Muslim perspective. One brother will just come and start talking. On those occasions, America and UK are always the problem of the Muslim world. Jewish conspiracies against Muslims. One brother will just come and start talking. Many of those instances, people get charged up. Allahu Akbar. Your own day-to-day, what you need to do between you and Allah, you don't know it. You are bothering yourself about what Erdogan and power play some of the people. Some things come first before others. And our religion recognizes that. Just like the itiqadat comes before what? The itiqadiyat comes before al-amaliyat. The same way, the furudul ayniyah, those things that are compulsory on you as a Muslim, come before any other thing. Who is performing your own salah? You perform your own salah, and it is the first thing that you will be asked about. In those days, there are some people who used to call ulama, they say they are ulama'u masail al-hayd. Ulama'u masail al-hayd. Scholars who don't know major hayd law. A woman as an individual needs to know those rulings as a woman between herself and who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, she will not be able to worship properly. You see these days, you hardly hear women asking questions about, I'm not sure what will happen to me. I made haid for 3 days. Oh, one green thing now came, one pink color now came. You will not hear these things again because about everybody is now aware how to handle the situation. So these are our basic duties that are compulsory on us as Muslims. It is compulsory upon every individual to know these things that are compulsory on us as individuals. So that's why we will not be bothered about the length of time we take to read a book like this. We will not be bothered about it. We'll just be going gradually, taking one lesson after the other. Gradually. Taking one lesson after the other. And the very fortunate thing is that issues of jihad, the ahkam of jihad, they are also taught in books of fiqh. Why didn't the ulama put ahkam al-jihad first? They put tahara first. Because without tahara, you can't perform salah. So they bring tahara first. In the tahara, they make you recognize najasat first. Or they tell you about water with which you will purify najasa first. Then they tell you najasat. Then after that, how do you make qada al-haja? These are the things we do every day. So when you see Muslims leave all these issues, they now start to talk, one Jew, Jews, Muslims, Khashoggi, what concerns you about Khashoggi? The point is that these are not the primary issues of the individual Muslim. And issues like that, one of the things you need to do is to be more silent. Because those aspects of those matters that we don't know are perhaps much more than the aspects of these matters that we know. Do you know? If they bring you one video now, see this video, this man entered this house, now. Do you know they can animate it? They entered there, so do, right? When Allah will raise you on the day of Qiyamah, say, testify for so do, right? In this world, you'll be believing something just like that. In the way this our own world is now, when they can show you that you were sleeping in America, oh, c'est quoi on baba relo shogo. So the point here is, one, we will be patient with our reading and be gradual with it and grow gradually. Know our obligations towards Allah, practice them and proceed upon our religion gradually. Those secondary matters that are not from the issues that are primary to the individual Muslim as a unit Muslim, the one that you don't know about, you don't know the rulings about, keep quiet so that you'll be saved. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, man somata naja alayhi salam. This hadith is Hasan. Man somata naja. The one who is silent, he is saved. He becomes saved because in your tribe, in your language, we will not man pa fun en to sọ pé kò sójú òun. Kò ní pẹ́ kò tù. Torí ń jọ ti ní orí o kò sójú mi o. But now you are talking about something that happened far away, thousands and millions of miles away from you. You are speaking as if you were there. Open court to over there. So let us be silent more and be more focused about issues that concerns the individual as a Muslim in terms of our belief and in terms of our day-to-day practice of Islam. That's why we must never be tired of it, because it is the individual's load he has to carry for himself. So may Allah make it easy for us. I just felt to push forward that statement. Someone can say, Ujojuma fikhiya new. May Allah make us understand better than it is explained to us. We intend to explain today, inshallah, Solatu-l. So we are on the Babu Solatu-l. Babu Solatu-l. The chapter regarding the Salah we observe when there is Khusoof. If you say Solatu-l, the prayer of the time of eclipse, Khusoof is eclipse. When the sun is eclipsed, Khusifat, or Kasafat Shamsu. That is, the sun becomes dark. It is covered. Something covers us from seeing the sun. When we are not seeing the sun during the day, and we are supposed to be seeing the sun, that is Khusoof. In the time of the Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam, I told someone that it is from the Nubuwat of the Messenger, alayhi salatu. The ulama say Khusoof only occurred once, Khusoof-ul-Shams, the eclipse of the sun occurred once during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, in the 10th year of Hijrah. Some say in Rabi'ul-Awwal. Sheikh Ahmad Shakir followed up those narrations and arrived at a particular date. I went to check that date. I googled it for the eclipse of the sun, the history of the eclipse of the sun in the world, it coincided with the day and year and month that the Sheikh worked on and arrived at from Nusus al-Shari'iyah. The same day. You know, the world records these great events. And it happened around the time of Duha. The Khusoof in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it happened on a day one of the Prophet's son, Ibrahim, had died, had passed away. Ibrahim, who was born to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by who? Maria al-Qibtiyah, who was given to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by Muqawqis. Muqawqis gave Maria to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muqawqis was the name of the Egyptian, the title of the Egyptian king at the time. So when he was invited to Islam, he sent a message of a mule, a horse, and then Maria al-Qibti was part of those things. Al-Qibtiyah was part of those things that Muqawqis sent to the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. So the Prophet took her and she had Ibrahim for the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu. So Ibrahim, it happened that on the day of that Khusoof, Ibrahim had died before the Khusoof, the son of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu. The point is that eclipse called Khusoof bil-Kaf. Bil-Kaf. I will not be long here, because some of the ulama say it should be Khusoof bil-Kha'i. They say if it is of the sun, it is Khusoof shams. Some say no, if it is of the sun, it should be Khusoof shams. Amongst those who said that was Tabi'i Urwa ibn Zubayr radiyallahu anhu, or rahimahullah, because he's Tabi'i. It is his father who is a companion of the Prophet Muhammad. So they say, don't say Khusoof shams. He says Khusoof shams. Others say no, it is Khusoof shams. And Khu bil Kha'i, Khusoof al-Qamar wa Khasaf al-Qamar. So it is Khusoof al-Qamar, Khusoof shams. But the correct thing, ikhwa, is that they are both correct for the two. The two can be called Khusoof shams or Khusoof al-Qamar, or Khusoof shams, or what? Khusoof al-Qamar. This is the most correct. Al-Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah mentioned that in his book Al-Majmu'. And long after him, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Adam al-Ethiopi also mentioned, Hafizahullah, he said, Ar-Rajihu. This makes you understand that there's khilaf in the naming. Because even Al-Imam al-Bukhari in his Sahih, what he says is, Babun, هل يكون كسفت الشمس أو خسفت. Bukhari says so, rahimahullah. Chapter, will you say kasafat shams or khasafat shams? Which one will you say? It means there's khilaf. Al-Imam Ibn al-Munayyah says, when al-Bukhari says that, it means there is no clear cut, there's khilaf. Strong one. So watch out for that. So that's why ulama begin to speak about this, make research on it from the books of Lugha, from the books of Hadith. But the point to take is that we can use Khusoof for both Ash-Shams and Qamar. We can also use what? Khusoof for both Ash-Shams and Al-Qamar. The Sheikh Muhammad ibn Adam said, Hafizahullah, الراجح جواز إطلاق الكسوف والخسوف لكل من الشمس والقمر. He said, الراجح جواز إطلاق الكسوف والخسوف لكل من الشمس والقمر. The strongest view is جواز إطلاق الكسوف, the permission, the allowance to generally use the word Khusoof wal Khusoof. We can use Ku bil Kaf. We can use Khusoof bil Kha'i likullin for each of Ash-Shams wal Qamar. Whether we are talking about Shams or Qamar. We can use Khusoof and Khusoof for either of them. لورود النصوص الكثرة بذلك. لورود النصوص الكثيرة بذلك. Because many texts, because there are a lot of texts that have come regarding that. لورود النصوص الكثيرة بذلك. Because there are a lot of texts that have come to make us understand that. Sometimes we can say Khusoof bil Kaf. And sometimes we can say, well, Khusoof bil Kha'i. But what is common amongst the scholars of fiqh is to say Khusoof bil Kaf when they talk about Ash-Shams, and Khusoof bil Kha'i when they talk about Al-Qamar. But the ulama say we can use either of them for either of them. We can use either of Khusoof and Khusoof for either of Ash-Shams and Al-Qamar, and that is proven in Ahadith. Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari radiyallahu anhuma, because the hadith regarding that Khusoof that occurred in the time of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam has been reported by over 20 companions. It was widely reported. One of the companions, Al-Imam Muslim, brought his riwayah in his Sahih. He said he was in his farm when he saw that Osamati Doru, the sun was up there, but it was covered. And it was around the time of Duha. He said, so I started running into the city. I came into Medina to see what will the Prophet do when this Khusoof is here. I want to come and see Kila Nabi Oshena Khusoof Tishele. So he left his farm and was running back into the city to see what will happen at the time of Khusoof. So it was a big event. So you will see Khusoof has been mentioned in a hadith regarding Qamar or Shams. Likewise, Khusoof has been mentioned in a hadith regarding Qamar or what? Or Shams. Jabir ibn Abdullah said, radiyallahu anhuma, kasafat ash-shamsu ala ahdi Rasulillah sallallahu kasafat ash-shams. Don't forget, Khusoof. He said, kasafat ash-shamsu ala ahdi Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam fi yawmin shadidul harri. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, during his time, kasafat ash-shams. The sun became dark during the day. Fi yawmin shadidul harri, on a day that was very hot. فصلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم بأصحابه. Therefore, thereupon the Prophet صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم observed Salah, Solatu-l Khusoof. We are going to talk about. He observed that Salah along with his companions. رضي الله عنه. This hadith occurs in Sahih Muslim. When Jabir now reported the khutbah of the Prophet on that day, he said that the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ya ayyuhan nas, innama shamsu wal qamaru ayatani min ayatillah. O people, the sun and the moon are just from two out of the many signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa innahuma la yankasifan Khusoof. إنهما لا ينكسفان لموت أحد من الناس. Which expression did he use? Khusoof. لا ينكسفان. This is a statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, reported by Jabir, that the sun and the moon, when they are eclipsed, لا ينكسفان. That Khusoof is not happening. He said the two of them. He mentioned Khusoof regarding the sun and the moon. Something like that also occurs in the hadith of Abu Mas'ud al-Badri, radiyallahu anhu. That hadith is in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. And the report of our mother Aisha radiyallahu anha, she said, Khasafat ash-shams. You see now, what did Jabir said? Kasafat ash-shams. What did Aisha said? خَسَفَتِ الشَّمْسِ رضي الله عنها في أحد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. She said the sun became dark during the time of the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي. The Prophet thereupon stood up to observe Salah as the sun became dark. So while she reported the khutbah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she said, the Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Inna ash-shamsa wal qamara min ayatillah." The sun and the moon are from the signs of Allah. Wa innahuma la yankhasifani. The two of them will not become dark. Li mauti ahadin wala li hayatihi. Just because someone died or just because someone was born. In the hadith of Jabir, what did he use? La yankasifani. The two of them will not have khusoof. In the hadith of Aisha, what did she say? La yankhasifani. The two of them will not have what? Khusoof. This is what Sheikh Muhammad ibn Adam is talking about. That ar-rajihu jawazu itlaqi al-kusufi wal-khusufi likulli min ash-shamsi wal-qamar. The strongest view is that both khusoof and khusoof can be employed regarding the sun or the moon. لِوُرُودِ النُّصُوصِ الْكَثِيرَةِ بِذَلِكَ. Because many texts have reported those ahadith. This hadith of Aisha radiyallahu anha with that expression of yankhasifan and khasafat regarding ash-shams and al-qamar was also reported like that by Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma and by Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. The point here is that we can say khusoof, we can also say what? Khusoof. This is the reason why Al-Imam al-Shawkani rahimahullah says khusoofain. Babu Salatil Khusoofain, the two khusoofs. So what two khusoofs is he talking about? Khusoof shams and what? Khusoof al-Qamar. These are the two khusoofs he's talking about. But if you hold upon the view of those who say no, you can only say khusoof for the sun. What you will like to interpret this headline, this section heading that he gave, is that he's talking about two khusoofs of the sun. But what he's talking about is that the khusoof of the sun and the khusoof of the moon. So when he says Babu Salatil Khusoofain, what he's talking about is the Salah when there is eclipse of the sun, the Salah when there is eclipse of the moon. I hope that this point is clear. Eclipse of the moon usually occur in the night. When we are supposed to see full moon, we know how the full moon is. It will be bright in the night. We'll just see it dark, either completely or partly. It's part of what ulama have said. Some say khusoof is when it is completely dark. Khusoof is when it is partly dark. Ulama say both, completely or partly. You can say khusoof for both ash-shams and qamar, and khusoof for both ash-shams and qamar. I hope that this point is clear. So Babu Salatil Khusoofain is talking about what? The chapter regarding the salah that we observe. Salatul Khusoof is min babi idafati. They make idafa of salah li sababiha. Something is being brought in an opposition with what brings about it. What brings about that salah is what? Khusoof. So when there's khusoof, we observe the salah. There's a point here, ikhwan. The point here is that this is evidence that we can observe this salah even at al-awqatun nahy. The times that we are prohibited from observing salah. When the sun is on the horizon, it has not descended from the horizon. It is right on our heads. This is a time that we are not allowed to observe salah except the salah that is obligatory on us that the individual has missed out. Maybe because of sleep or something like that. Or those salawat we refer to as zawatul asbab, like tahiyyatul masjid, like salatul istikhara and others. But our rawatib, no. We will not observe them when the sun is on the horizon. But for Salatul Khusoof, no matter the time, we will observe it. Because it has its own determination. It is determined by Khusoof. It is not determined by whether the sun is on the horizon or it has left the horizon or our image is double on the ground. No, it is not determined by that. It has what determines it. So it may be counted from the Zawatul Asbab. Those scholars that they have a sabab that causes them, like Tahiyyatul Masjid. If you come into the masjid now, it is not obligatory on you as long as you are not sitting down. If you are not sitting down, there is no problem. You can stand, you can keep standing like that. But if you must sit down, that is a sabab. Then what must you do? You must observe Tahiyyatul Masjid. That's the sabab for Tahiyyatul Masjid. But the sabab for this salah is what? Khusoof al-Shams or what? Khusoof al-Qamar. I hope that this point is clear. So don't come back to ask me, can we observe Salatul Khusoof in the midnight? Can we observe Salatul Khusoof when the sun is setting, for example? If it can happen at that time. The sun is setting. You are looking at it, yellow or red. And then there's a Khusoof, for example. Can we observe Khusoof at that time? Yes. Why? Because it is from Zawatul Asbab. And that is its sabab. So when that sabab comes, we observe that salah. I hope that this point is clear. I hope that this point is clear. Another Zawatul Sabab from among salawat is Rakatat Tawaf. The 2 units of prayer you make after Tawaf. Whether sun is up, down, anywhere, middle. Once you make 7 rounds of Tawaf, you are entitled for those 2 units of prayer. You will not be asking, oh, where is the sun now? Because you have made the sabab, what makes that salah becomes established. You have done it. So you have to make that salah. I hope that it is clear, inshallah. So nobody will ask, what time can we make Salatul Khusoof? No, once the Khusoof starts, we make it. We'll come back to that, inshallah. So that's regarding the chapter heading that was taken by Imam al-Shawkani, rahimahullah. So, and it appears that Al-Imam al-Shawkani also agrees that both the sun and the moon can be referred to as Khusoof. That's why he took it as Khusoofain. Babu Solatu-l Khusoofain. The chapter regarding the 2 Khusoofs. Khusoof al-Shams, Khusoof al-Qamar. He said, rahimahullah, hiya sunnatun. Al-Imam al-Shawkani says regarding Salatul Khusoofain, he says, hiya sunnatun. Salatul Khusoof, he says, hiya sunnatun. Wa asahhu ma warada fi sifatiha raka'atan. Don't be bothered about that. وأصح ما ورد في صفتها ركعتان في كل ركعة ركوعان. He says here sunnatun وأصح ما ورد في صفتها ركعتان في كل ركعة ركوعان وورد 3 و4 و5 يقرأ بين كل ركوعين وورد في كل ركعة ركوع وندب الدعاء والتكبير والتصدق والاستغفار. بإذن الله, I hope we finish this bab today. The Imam Shawkani says, Salatul Khusoof hiya sunnatun. So we are asked, what is the ruling for Salatul Khusoof? In the opinion of Al-Imam al-Shawkani, it is Sunnah. Sunnah. Others say Sunnatul Mu'akkada, but it is part of Sunnah. Imam al-Shawkani says the ruling of Salatul Khusoof is Sunnah. This is the view that he has taken in Ad-Durarul-Bahiyah. But in his book, As-Saylul Jarrar, he says, Az-Zahiru annaha wajibah. What is apparent is that Salatul Khusoof is wajibah, compulsory. You see now how ulama even change their views? That's how they are. They are studying this matter now. They will have one opinion. Perhaps, if they study the matter again, while writing another work, that opinion will change. It can change, and they study the matter again, writing another book regarding it. When they come to this, it changes again. And Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal was known for this. And others amongst Ai-Imam. These days, if a person changes a view, they say, the one who does not change his view, I always believe that they don't study. If they study very well, wallahi, you will be changing many views about many things. That's how knowledge is. So, the Imam said, rahimahullah, that Salatul Khusoof is sunnah. But Allahu Alam, what appears most correct is his view also that he has, that Salatul Khusoof is wajibah. That appears strongest. Although he gave a condition for saying that I believe that it is compulsory. We'll come back to it as we discuss this matter. So what are the proofs for those amongst the ulama who say that Salatul Khusoof is compulsory? What are the proofs for that? There are a number of ahadith. We just mention a few of them and proceed, inshallah. The first hadith is the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. I'll only read Mahallu Shahid because these ahadith are long, describing the salah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we are still coming back to that. But now we are interested in what is the ruling of that salah. There is an eclipse of the sun now. Some people are praying. Must I go and pray too? Is it compulsory for me? Isn't it necessary for us to know whether it is compulsory or not? Is it a salah that when some people are performing, let them perform it. Let them perform it. We are here resting. Like Solatu-l Janaza. It is a compulsory salah, but when some people are making it, it is not compulsory upon everybody. The rest of us are free from the obligation. As away from Salatul Eidain. Salatul Eidain ala Sahih, as we mentioned, is compulsory on every one of us. Just like Salatul Jum'ah. And it is one of the strong things that makes Salatul Khusoof compulsory. Al-Imam Badruddin al-Aini says that Al-Imam Malik ajraha majra al-Jum'ah. Imam Malik views Salatul Khusoof as he sees Salatul Jum'ah. And the A'immatul Arba are agreed that Salatul Jum'ah is wajibah. So upon this, what will be the position of Al-Imam Malik regarding Salatul Khusoof? Wujub. He said that it is wajibah. Iza ajrahu majra Salatul Jum'ah. If he holds it so important like Salatul Jum'ah, then it is near the ruling of Salatul Jum'ah, that is the ruling of obligation. Aisha radiallahu anha said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam gave a khutbah after the Salatul Khusoof that he performed during his time. That is from the Sunan of Salatul Khusoof. We are coming back to it. After that Salah, the Imam who led us in Salah will turn to us and then he will admonish us. He will give us admonition. It is from the Sunan of Salatul Khusoof. And for the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Al-Imam Al-Nawawi and others who gave the tabwibat on Sahih Muslim, they gave a special bab on the things that the Prophet saw and talked about during his Salatul Khusoof. When he made the khutbah after the Salah, the Prophet talked about, he was shown Al-Jannah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In one of the riwayat, he moved forward to collect some fruit from Al-Jannah alayhi salatu wa salam. And then just in the same report, he ran back again. So when he was making the khutbah, he told the people that at the time I moved forward, you saw me moving forward as if I wanted to collect something. Allah brought Al-Jannah to me. Al-Jannah was brought to me. So I wanted to collect from the fruits of it. He said, if my hands had touched it, I would have shown you from the fruits of Al-Jannah. Alayhi salatu wasalam. And the time when you see me running away, I was shown Jahannam. And I was scared by the sight that I saw of it. From the issues of Aqidah we take from this part of the hadith is that Al-Jannah and Nar are mawjudan makhlukatan. Mawjudatan makhlukatan. Because the Prophet saw them sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Not only during Mi'raj, he saw them during Solatu-l Khusoof. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. His eyes were open. He wasn't sleeping. It wasn't a dream. So there were so many things he said during that khutbah. He also talked about Azabul Qabr. Aisha said when he told us that there will be fitna in the Qabr from after that day, when he made Tahiyya in his Salah, he made isti'adha from Azabul Qabr and Azabul Nar. So he made a lot of statements during that khutbah. That those statements he made deserve to be compiled and discussed. What the Prophet said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam during Solatu-l Khusoof. Alayhi salatu wa sallam. From amongst the things he said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was that Inna shamsa wal qamara ayatani min ayatillah. Certainly the sun and the moon are two from the signs of Allah. La yakhsifani li mawti ahadin wa la li hayatihi. They do not become eclipsed because someone died. There's a lesson here, Ikhwan. His own son just died that morning. To bá sàwọn afá àti wà ní kíni wọ́n sọ ọlọ́gàmà sámà gàmà pé ó dùn wá sámà gàn sunkún. Sàmà bakat alayhimu samawati wal ard. So that will make us understand that the Prophet was actually Abdullah wa Rasuluh. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. As-Sadiqul Masduq. Wale yima ni, awoniro yima, they will wrap it all up. Even rain that falls. They say, ojoro, ojoro. You can imagine as slowly as people can be sometimes. Someone is talking. Nepa brings light. May Allah protect all of us. So when you hear things like that, you know those people. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, these things are ayatun min ayatillah. La yakhsifani li mawti ahadin. They do not become eclipsed because someone died. Wala li hayati. They do not become eclipsed because someone was born. Someone can come and say, Ijota bini. Ofredo runjona. Atijona na ti mo pe eyan lambo. Ola iwola. May Allah protect us. We were in Lagos one day, I think 5 years ago or so, in the nikah of one of our teachers, Sheikh Najmuddin. We were there when the eclipse started. Eclipse of the sun. The sun was completely covered for almost 2 hours. During that nikah, Inna shamsa wal qamara ayatani min ayatillah. They are doing their own, they are all signs of Allah, they are coming on their own. La yakhsifani li mawti ahadin wa la li hayati. They do not become eclipsed because of someone dying, or because someone was born, or because someone married, or because someone was divorced. If someone divorces his wife now, then there was eclipse, you see now, this my decision is a good decision. May Allah protect us. The point of reference in this hadith is the statement of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that our mother Aisha reported. She said, فَإِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهَا, when you see this eclipse, eclipsing the sun or the moon, she said that the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَافْزَعُوا لِلصَّلَاةِ فَبَادِرُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَافْزَعُوا go and observe your salah. Quickly go start observe salah. The Prophet said, فَافْزَعُوا لِلصَّلَاةِ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In another riwayah, he said of the same hadith of Aisha, the Prophet said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَصَلُّوا حَتَّى يُفَرِّجَ اللَّهُ عَنْكُمْ. Go and pray, he gave this command. Sallu hatta. Observe salah and be upon that salah hatta yufarrij Allahu ankum. Until Allah will remove the khusoof for you. The first lumps, she said, fafza'u ayaratete. Command. In the second one, she said, fasallu. Therefore, observe salah. Because you see the khusoof. Observe salah. Ulama say firstly, this means that before the khusoof, you can't start salah. Because this faf is litaqib. Because now there's khusoof, so you can start salah. In case you ask, you have read in the news that khusoof there is going to be khusoof today. One of the scholars, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen, he raised this issue in his Sharh al-Mumti. He says, is it allowed for us to be announcing that there's going to be khusoof? He says, is it allowed for us to be shouting, hey, there will be khusoof tomorrow? He said, there's no basis for it. We don't have a basis for it to be announcing, oh, people prepare, there's going to be khusoof. It's like saying preparing for what Allah wants to use to scare you. Because khusoof and khusoof, whether of the sun or the moon, are from the things by which Allah puts fear in our mind. So you want to prepare for that one? So he said there is no basis for it, rahimahullah. So many of us who always send the messages, please prepare, there's going to be khusoof today. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen said there is no basis for what you are doing. Nobody send you. What we are asked to do, like the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is that فَإِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهُمَا, when you now see the eclipse of the sun, or you see the eclipse of the moon, فَافْزَعُوا لِلصَّلَاةِ. So don't disturb yourself. Go and pray at that time, when you see that. The point of reference is that Prophet's command. فَافْزَعُوا. In another love, he said, فَصَلُّوا. These are commands from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In the report of Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu, also collected by Imam Muslim, that hadith of Aisha occurs in Bukhari and Muslim. In the loves of Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari, he said, فَإِذَا خَسَفَا فَصَلُّوا حَتَّى يَنْجَلِيَا. فَإِذَا خَسَفَ, when the two of them, there's khusoof, فَصَلُّوا. Therefore, صَلُّوا, this is command. And the report of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he gave a lump, فَافْزَعُوا, again, فَافْزَعُوا لِلصَّلَاةِ, like the kind that Aisha gave, radiyallahu anha. That is why Imam Abu Awana al-Istirayini, rahimahullah, one of the scholars of hadith, he has a mustakhraj on Sahih Muslim. Abu Awana, the well-known Imam, he has Musnad Abi Awana. He made istikhraj on Sahih Muslim. You know what the ulama scholars of hadith refer to as mustakhraj? Imam Muslim has Sahih Muslim. For every hadith, he has a sheikh from whom he took that hadith. So Abu Awana will not take those hadiths from Imam Muslim. Neither will he take those ahadith from the sheikh of Imam Muslim. He will go above Sheikh Muslim. He will go and start taking those same reports you see in Sahih Muslim from those above them. So they will say istakhraja ala Muslim, ala Muslim. He made istikhraj, as if to say he is bringing out the hadith newly, making the takhrij newly, giving us the isnad of the hadith newly. Abu Awana did that regarding Sahih Muslim. When he gathered these ahadith in Sahih Muslim, rahimahullah, he said, Bayanu wujubi Solatu-l Khusoof. He placed the hadith under the chapter heading. What did he say? Bayanu wujubi Solatu-l Khusoof. Explaining the compulsoriness or the obligation of Solatu-l Khusoof. We want to prove that Salatul Khusoof is what? Wajibah. Al-Imam Abu Awana lived in the late 2nd century of Islam. He died in the early 3rd century. So he's a person that if you want to say that ijma on a matter, you must not leave him out, rahimahullah. Al-Imam Ibn Khuzaymah in his Sahih, he says, Babul Amri bis Salati inda Khusoof ash-Shamsi wal Qamar. Babul Amr, the chapter regarding the command that we must observe Salah when there is Khusoof of either Shams or what? Or Qamar. And what he will do in his Sahih is that if he considers something obligatory, he mentions it like this, he will bring a hadith that will make you understand that it is not compulsory if he thinks that it is not compulsory. This was his way in his Sahih. But he didn't do that here. Ulama say they can deduce from that that Ibn Khuzaymah is also of the opinion that Salatul Khusoof is compulsory. Al-Imam Badruddin al-Aini in his Umdatul Qari, he says, وَقَالَ بَعْدُ مَشَايِخِنَا. Some of our scholars say, he is Hanafi. Badruddin al-Aini lived in the time of Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar rahimahullah. Even though Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar was older, more learned than Badruddin rahimahumallahu. He said, إِنَّهَا وَاجِبَةٌ. Some of our scholars say that Salatul Khusoof is compulsory. لِلْأَمْرِ بِهَا. Because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commanded us to do so. وَنُصَّ فِي الْأَسْرَارِ. One of the books of their mazhab, Al-Asrar, نُصَّ فِيهَا. It was clearly mentioned in it that عَلَى وُجُوبِهَا, that Salatul Khusoof is what? Wajiba. وَصَرَّحَ أَبُو عَوَانَ بِوُجُوبِهَا. Al-Imam Abu Awana in his Musnad also clearly states that Salatul Khusoof is compulsory. وَعَنْ مَالِكٍ أَنَّهُ. It was also reported from Al-Imam Malik that أَجْرَاهَا مَجْرَى الْجُمْعَةِ, that Al-Imam Malik will consider Salatul Khusoof the way he considers Salatul Jum'ah. This Sheikh Ali ibn Ahmad al-Rashidi, he has a book he referred to as Al-Masail al-Fiqhiyya allati haka fiha al-Imam al-Nawawi al-Ijma'. He mentions in it that it is also an opinion from Imam Abu Hanifa, that Al-Imam Abu Hanifa considers Salatul Khusoof as wajibah. From amongst those who did that in our own times was Sheikh Muhammad Nasiruddin al-Albani. He says, rahimahullah, وَهُوَ الْأَرْجَحُ دَلِيلًا. To say that Salatul Khusoof is compulsory, that is the strongest view if you consider the evidences. He said, إِنَّ الْقَوْلَ بِالسُّنِّيَّةِ فَقَطْ. That the statement that it is just sunnah, فِيهِ إِهْدَارٌ لِلْأَوَامِرِ الْكَثِيرَةِ. That statement, that opinion will make you throw away all these commands. The Prophet was commanding us, do this, do this, do this. If you say it's just sunnah, then it means it is, if you like, you obey that instruction. If you like, you don't obey it. That is not our approach, the basic rule regarding the commands of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that these texts, allati ja'at anhu fi salah, these commands have come regarding Salatul Khusoof in the text. Duna ayyi sarifin. You would have thrown away all these commands without any text requiring you to say that it is not compulsory because of this hadith. Do we understand? There are a lot of ahadith where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commanded us, perform Salatul Khusoof, fafza'u lis-salah, fasallu, and all of this. He commanded us. You will be throwing all these commands away without proof. You will be wasting all these texts without proof. If you say it is just sunnah, he says, Duna ayyi sarifin, without a proof that will take it away from obligation. Duna ayyi sarifin laha an dalalatiha al-asliya. Because the basic proof that you gain from the Prophet's command is that that thing is compulsory. Allah wa huwa al-wujub. That is to say that that thing is compulsory. The Imam Muhammad Nasiruddin al-Albani was cited to have said that by Sheikh Hussein al-Awaisha in his book Al-Mawsu'at al-Fiqhiyya al-Muyassara. in the second volume, page 173. And Sheikh Al-Albani actually did say that, rahimahullah, in his book, that he compiled on this work. He referred to it as Sifatu Solatu-l Sifatu Salatin Nabiyyi lil Khusoof. Sifatu Salatin Nabiyyi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam lil Khusoof. The manner of the Prophet observing Salatul Khusoof. So an entire book, he mentioned this view of compulsory in Sifatu Salati an-Nabiyyi lil Khusoof. Many times, if we say there is an opinion, no matter how you try to prove it from the rest of the scholars, from the text and from the statements of the scholars, if at the end of the day you say that is the opinion of Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah, some people will say, Bama, like someone suffering from paranoid. It's a disease. It's a disease. Some people will say and think that I want to say what can lose on it. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah considered that as from his diyah. At-tahazzub ma'al ulama. You turn scholars to egbe oso awon afa di egbe. Iwo na de legbe nu. Ki legbe re. Tó bá jẹ́ pé Albani ló sọ ni ani gba. Egbe re nu. Bidul Albani legbe tie. But it's a big sickness. Okay. Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah also has this view in Sharh al-Mumti. And his approach to proving it was or is very interesting. So I chose that we should read to us what this Sheikh has said, rahimahullah. He mentions it in the second volume, page 328 of his book, Sharh al-Mumti. Under Babu Salatil Khusoof. Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen said, وَقَالَ بَعْضُ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ إِنَّهَا وَاجِبَةٌ. Some of the people of knowledge say that Salatul Khusoof is compulsory. لِقَوْلِ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ وَسَلَّمَ. Based on the statement of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم that إِذَا رَأَيْتُمْ ذَلِكَ فَصَلُّوا. When you see Khusoof al-Shams or Khusoof al-Qamar, فَصَلُّوا. You should therefore observe that Salah by way of command. Sheikh said, rahimahullah, قال ابن القيم في كتاب الصلاة. He said, Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim expressed in his book, Kitab al-Salah. Ibn al-Qayyim has a book called Kitab al-Salah. If you go back to it, from these citing by Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen in his Sharh al-Mumti, you will find it inshallah. He says, قال ابن القيم في كتاب الصلاة. Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim said, وَهُوَ قَوْلٌ قَوِيٌّ. That to say that Salatul Khusoof is compulsory is a very strong opinion. He is explaining now, Al-Qawlu bil-Wujub. The statement that it is compulsory is qawi. Ibn al-Qayyim said it is qawi. وَصَدَقَ رَحِمَهُ. Sheikh Ibn al-Uthaymeen said, and what Ibn al-Qayyim has said is correct. May Allah shower blessings on him. رحمه الله لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أمر بها, because the Prophet صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم commanded us to observe Salatul Khusoof. وخرج فزعا. The Prophet even came out of fear and worry. وقال, and then the Prophet said صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم إنها تخويف. It is Allah's way of making us to fear Him. وَخَطَبَ خُطْبَةً عَظِيمَةً. After it, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gave a tremendous khutbah. وَعُرِضَتْ عَلَيْهِ الْجَنَّةُ وَالنَّارِ. Allah showed the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam al-Jannah and-Nar. وَكُلُّ هَذِهِ الْقَرَائِنِ الْعَظِيمَةِ تُشْعِرُ بِوُجُوبِهَا. All these indicators will make us understand, will give us the impression that this salah is wajibah. لِأَنَّهَا قَرَائِنٌ عَظِيمَةٌ, because these are great, tremendous indicators to show that the salah we are performing, the Prophet will struggle to go and perform it. Allah is using that sign to make us become scared. The Prophet was commanding us, perform it. After the salah, the Prophet would take a long time to make khutbah. He was shown al-Jannah, he was shown Nar. These are not from the things that you can take easily. In fact, in a further explanation, he said, how can all these things be happening? They say Solatu-l Khusoof is to make us fear Allah. And then you are relaxing somewhere that it is Sunnah. He said this one contradicts all these Qur'an, all these indicators that have come along with this. This statement of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen occurs in his book, Sharhul Mumti, that he did on Zadul Mustaqim. Let us go back to it. It is still with a lot of benefits. He was explaining why Solatu-l Khusoof is compulsory. From the texts that have reported Solatu-l Khusoof, why have we gone so much to try to explain this? Because some amongst the ulama say, like Al-Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, that there is ijma' that Solatu-l Khusoof is sunnah. And this sheikh in his work, Ali ibn Ahmad al-Rashidi, he did a work on the statements of Al-Imam al-Nawawi. If Al-Imam al-Nawawi says, Ajma' ahlul ilm ala kaza, Ajma' ahlul ilm ala, the scholars are agreed on so, the scholars have consensus on so, you will gather them and now study whether for each of them, is there actually an ijma' that is mun'aqid? Is consensus truly established? That was what he did in this book. Hafizahullah. And his conclusion regarding this subject is that there is no ijma, there is mun'aqid. He said there is khilaf of Abu Awana. He said there is khilaf of Abu Hanifa. So how can you say there is ijma without these two people having a say to it? So he said to say that there is ijma, that is sunnah, is not a statement that is correct. And then it contradicts the basic statement from that Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, fafza'u lis-salah, fasallu. He's giving us all these commands, and it's just sunnah. If you like, you can observe it. If you like, you can stay out of it. Salatul Khusoof is compulsory. So for all those reasons was why we cited all those statements from ulama. Somebody can say, oh, kill and damn, say Salatul Khusoof is sunnah, and there's ijma. The ijma is not mun'aqid. That is the point we saw. The ijma is not established. The consensus is not correct to be called a consensus on the matter. That is what the ulama have said, rahimahumullah. And I think a safe thing to do is to hold Salatul Khusoof compulsory. Because the least thing you do is that you'll be standing with the text. Another thing you will gain from holding it compulsory is that you will not joke with it. So the least thing you can take is that you take it as a mazhab siyasi, as a precautionary view that I think it's compulsory. So I will not joke with it. Because the companions never joked with it, radiyallahu anhu. So this is about what Al-Imam al-Shawkani said, rahimahullah, in his book, Ad-Durarul-Bahiyah, when he says Solatu-l Khusufain, hiya sunnatun. He said Solatu-l Khusufain is sunnah. So what will you say? Solatu-l Khusufain hiya mada? Wajibah? Salatul Kusufain is wajibah. What is your proof? Is there no ijma that it is sunnah mu'akkada? Didn't Al-Imam al-Nawawi say to us that there is ijma? What do you say? There's ijma from Al-Imam al-Nawawi. I can add to al-Nawawi those who have quoted ijma. Ibn Rushd in Bidayatul Mujtahid cited ijma'u. Ibn Daqiq al-Eid in Ihkam al-Ahkam, he cited ijma'u. Ibn Qudama al-Muqdasi cited ijma'u. Ibn al-Mulakkin cited ijma'u. I should add more. So how do you say no, there is ijma is not established? Because it is established from some amongst the earlier scholars that they have a view that it is compulsory. Like Abu Hanifa, like who? Abu Awana. And Zahirun Nafs, the apparent meaning from the text indicates that it is compulsory. So before we say that ijma that actually violates that ruling that it is compulsory, that will now make us see it as sunnah or sunnatul mu'akkada if you like, must be something that is truly established as ijma. Do we understand? Is it clear to us? Okay. The next thing Al-Imam al-Nawawi says, rahimahullah, he says, وَأَصَحُّ مَا وَارَدَ فِي صِفَتِهَا رَكَعَتَانِ. The most correct regarding what has been reported about how to perform Solatu-l Khusoof is that it should be 2 rak'ahs. في كل ركعة ركوعان. In each rak'ah there are 2 rukus. So how do we observe Solatu-l Khusoof? You know, I won't support that we just read it and we don't demonstrate it. From the ways the companions learned Salah and taught Salah is to demonstrate Salah. So who will demonstrate Salah? Solatu-l Khusoof. We'll come back to the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. In that hadith, she described what Al-Imam al-Nawawi is saying. And in this hadith, we will get to all that Al-Imam al-Nawawi has said, inshallah. So we'll read this hadith. From this hadith, we will discuss each of the points that are left for us in Ad-Durarul-Bahiyah on this subject, under this bab. Is it clear to us? She said, radiyallahu anha, this hadith occurs in Sahih Muslim and in Sahih Bukhari. But I don't know these days, I'm used to reading a hadith from Sahih Muslim. Because of the bias of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Adam's Al-Bahrul-Muhit. I think that's the reason. I think that's the reason. This hadith also occurs in Sahih Bukhari. But we are reading from Sahih Muslim. Aisha radiallahu anha said, خَصَفَتِ الشَّمْسُ فِي أَهْدِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There was eclipse of the moon during the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فَقَامَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ وَسَلَّمَ يُصَلِّي. The Prophet therefore sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he stood up to observe Salah. In another riwayah in Sahih Muslim still, that report says, فَبَعَثَ مُنَادِيًا. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam raised someone. In some report in Sunan al-Nasai, it says, Amara sallallahu alayhi. The Prophet commanded someone that they should say, As-salatu jami'ah. So you don't ask me, is there azan and iqama for Salatul Khusoof? No. But there is nida'u for it. This is the name ulama have called this. An-nida'u lis-salah. You are going to call for salah. As-salatu jami'ah. As-salatu jami'ah. Where is Baba Limamu? If there is Khusoof now, what will you tell your muazzin to tell us? As-salatu jami'ah. You can say as-salatu jami'atun, or as-salata jami'atan, or as-salatu jami'atan, or as-salata jami'atun. All of these are correct. But the easiest one, because it is just muftada and khabar, is for you to say as-salatu jami'atun. The salah is about to be established. The salah is which salah is that? Salatul Khusoof. How do we call the people to come and observe Salatul Khusoof? What do we say to them? As-salatu jami'ah. As-salatu jami'ah. Until the people will gather in the masjid. So Salatul Khusoof, the muazzin of the masjid will start announcing to us, As-salatu jami'ah. As-salatu jami'ah. as-salatu jami'ah. That occurs in Sahih Muslim. The ahadith about this nida occurs in Sahih Muslim. There is from the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, there is from the hadith of Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari, that the individual will say, as-salatu jami'ah. What if Baba Imam is not there? The Imam of the masjid is not there, and is not likely to be there. We are in a place where the Imam will not come, and is not likely to come. About 14 years ago, I was in the ABU campus, Congo. We had a lecture, it was a night lecture. As we were getting set to sleep, there was Khusoof. Khusoof-ul Qamar. So I told the brothers, call your Imam and say, Imam can't come here this night. So what do we do? So they called as-salatu jami'ah, as-salatu jami'ah. People came out, and then we observed Salatul Khusoof. That is about the third time I'm observing Salatul Khusoof. So we say as-salatu jami'ah. If the Imam is not there, we can organize ourselves and observe Salatul jami'ah, Salatul Khusoof. She said, radiyallahu anha, خسفت الشمس في عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقام رسول الله يصلي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet stood up to pray. In some riwayat it said he went to perform wudu first, and as he was performing the wudu, he commanded the muazzin to make as-salatu jami'ah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Says فَاجْتَمَعُوا. As he announced as-salatul jami'ah, ijtama'a an-nas, people gathered. وَتَقَدَّمَ. The Prophet just went forward, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَكَبَّرَ. And then he made takbir. Allahu Akbar. So there is no iqama for salatul khusoof. Once the muazzin shouts, as-salatu jami'ah, as-salatu jami'ah, people come. يَتَقَدَّمُ الْإِمَامِ. The Imam will come forward, وَيُكَبِّرُ. He just says, Allahu Akbar. In some riwayat, he says the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was still straightening the people's sufuf. Taswiyatul sufuf. He never left it sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He didn't also leave it in Salatul Khusoof. So he will straighten the rows. Allah can place you in a condition to guide the people one day. You know, make sufuf. Oh yeah, Imam. Bismillah. You step backwards. Some people like to be, when you see that you are the one guiding them, you turn yourself to Ibn Taymiyyah to the people. Oh yeah, everybody has to say, don't do that. Manzara qawman fala ya ummahum. The basic ruling about leading people is that if you go to visit the people, don't put yourself in front to lead them in Salah until they say lead us. So when you are guiding them, don't guide them with the intention that you want them to see you as Ibn Taymiyyah. La, don't do that. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went forward and led the people in Salah. We come back to the hadith of Aisha here. فَأَطَالَ الْقِيَامِ فَكَبَّرَ وَأَطَالَ الْقِيَامِ. Don't forget, I've connected with another report now. So the Prophet stood up sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فَأَطَالَ الْقِيَامَ جِدًّا. The Prophet extensively prolonged the standing. In some report it was said that he read Solatu-l. One rak'ah, the first part of the first rak'ah. Inside Al-Baqarah, how many ajza do we have? 3.5. 2.5. 2.5 juz Quran. Asma bint Abi Bakr as-Siddiq, when she came to meet Aisha in her room, she saw her praying. She was asking radiyallahu anhuma, what's happening? Aisha radiyallahu anha was pointing up to Khusoof. Aisha was telling Asma bint Abi Bakr, her sister was asking, which salah? That's evidence that you can talk to somebody that is praying. And Aisha was pointing up. Look up. What was that? Khusoof. I want to talk about the length of the qira'ah. Asma said she became as if she wanted to fall down out of the lengthiness of that rak'ah. It was prolonged. Prolonged. So riwayah says it was Al-Baqarah. The entire Baqarah in one rak'ah. The Prophet used to do it. Baqarah, Ala Imran, Nisa, Ma'idah, one rak'ah in Qiyamul Layl. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Don't forget, he is Abdullah here. Allah says he's my slave. Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is Abdullah. Abi irun te eyan o ki tese eyan o wu. Salafi o gbenu le asalatu eru mina no mi ni o ji o. May Allah protect us. فَأَطَالَ الْقِيَامُ جِدًّا. The Prophet extended the standing. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So ثُمَّ رَكَعَهُ. After that long reading, he made ruku'. فَأَطَالَ الرُّكُوعَ جِدًّا. He prolonged the ruku'. Jidda, it's in the hadith. Extensively. ثُمَّ رَفَعَ رَأْسَهُ. And then he raised up his head. In some riwayat it says رَفَعَ رَأْسَهُ وَقَالَ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ لِمَنْ حَمِدَ رَبَّنَا لَكَ الْحَمْدِ. So don't forget, Solatu-l does not expel that basic rule that when you are standing from ruku, what do you say? Sami Allahu liman hamida. When you are fully standing, what do you say? Rabbana wa lakal hamd, or Rabbana lakal hamd, or Allahumma Rabbana lakal hamd, or Allahumma Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Where is he supposed to go to? Sujood, Abi? He started Qira'ah again. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. The second standing in the fourth rak'ah. Second standing in the fourth rak'ah. So the fourth rak'ah has how many standings? 2. You start Qira'ah again. فَأَطَالَ الْقِيَامَ جِدًّا. He was extensive again, very extensive. وَهُوَ دُونَ الْقِيَامِ الْأَوَّلِ. But it was lesser than the first one. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. ثُمَّ رَكَعَ. After that lengthy standing, he then made ruku'. فَأَطَالَ الرُّكُوعَ جِدًّا. He extended the ruku' greatly. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَهُوَ دُونَ الرُّكُوعِ الْأَوَّلِ. But the length of this second ruku' was lesser than the first ruku'. ثُمَّ سَجَدَ. Then he went on sujood. ثُمَّ قَامَ. After the sujood, normal sujood, 2 sujoods. The normal sujood. You make sajda, you sit down, you make sajda again, you make jalsatul istiraha, and then you stand up for the second rak'ah. فَأَطَالَ الْقِيَامِ. That is the first standing of the first rak'ah. Of the second rak'ah. The first standing in the second rak'ah. فَأَطَالَ الْقِيَامَ وَهُوَ دُونَ الْقِيَامِ الْأَوَّلِ. He extended the standing, but lesser than the first standing of the first rak'ah. It was lesser than it. ثُمَّ رَكَعَ. Thereafter he made ruku'. فَأَطَالَ الرُّكُوعَ. He was extensive in the ruku'. وَهُوَ دُونَ الرُّكُوعِ الْأَوَّلِ. But it was lesser than the first ruku' that he made. ثُمَّ رَفَعَ رَأْسَهُ. Then he raised his head. سَمِعَ اللَّهُ لِمَنْ حَمِدَهُ. رَبَّنَا لَكَ الْحَمْدُ. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. That is the second standing for the second rak'ah. وَهُوَ دُونَ الْقِيَامِ الْأَوَّلِ. He made it lesser than the first standing of the second rak'ah. Do we understand? This second standing in the second rak'ah is lesser than the first standing of the second rak'ah. Summa rak'ah. Then he made ruku again. فَأَطَالَ الرُّكُوعَ. He prolonged the ruku. وَهُوَ دُونَ الرُّكُوعِ الْأَوَّلِ. Lesser than the first ruku. The second ruku. Lesser than the first ruku of the second rak'ah. Summa sajada. Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made his sujood. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Summa sarafa Rasulullah sallallahu. In some riwayat it says summa tashahada wa sallama. So don't ask me, is there tashahud? There's tashahud there. So it's normal salah. The difference is that there are two standings in each rak'ah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, ثُمَّ انصَرَفَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ وَسَلَّمَ وَقَدْ تَجَلَّتِ الشَّمْسِ. By the time the Prophet made taslim, the sun had become bright again. Khusoof had ended. So it means the Salatul Khusoof can extend onto that, like that, till you finish the Salah. She said, رضي الله عنها, فَخَطَبَ النَّاسِ. Take it. One of the things Al-Imam al-Shawkani did not mention is the nida, as-salatu-jami'ah. He didn't mention it in Ad-Durarul-Bahiyah. عَلِّكْ عَلَى ذَلِكَ كَالْمَوْضِعْ فِي كِتَابِكَ. Make talik. There's nida, as-salatu. Because the day you want to revise it, you can forget. There's nida, as-salatu-jami'ah. Says فَخَطَبَ النَّاسِ. Another thing Imam Shawkani did not mention is what? Khutbah. You know why he didn't mention it? He didn't mention Adhan and Iqamah because he's not talking about Adhan and Iqamah. He did not mention the khutbah because he's not talking about the khutbah. We have to look for an excuse for him, rahimahullah. He's talking about the salah itself. But the issue we can use to refute that is that he mentioned other things that are not connected to the salah, like making sadaqah, like making istighfar after the salah. Those ones are not directly connected to salah, but he mentioned it regarding the salah. And the khutbah of Salatul Khusoof is connected to Salatul Khusoof, so it should be mentioned together. So you remember to notice there that after Salatul Khusoof, there is what? Khutbah. Some people can say, Limamu. Lẹ́yìn ìgbà tá a ti kírun òrùn tẹ́ kí ló ní ìtàn ẹ̀tún ní ká tún jókòó ẹ̀ ṣe wá sí ẹ fẹ́ pa wá ní. So don't do that to the people. There is khutbah after Salatul Khusoof. We say these things because this is the way our people react. Bá a ṣe máa ń ṣe nìyẹn. May Allah forgive all of us. So she said, رضي الله عنها, وخطب الناس فحمد الله وأثنى عليه. The Prophet said, Alhamdulillah wa asna alayh, and he praised Allah. In some riwayat, he said, the Prophet said, Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa ashhadu anna. He says, the Prophet Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Shahida an la ilaha illallah, wa shahida annahu abdullahi wa rasuluh. He testified that there is no deity deserving worship except Allah. He also testified that he, the Prophet Muhammad, alayhi salatu wasalam, is the messenger of Allah, is the servant of Allah and his messenger. Ikhwa, because of time, I like to stop here. Let me not go on to start saying what he said during the khutbah. But one of the things he said during the khutbah that we need to say so that we can proceed is that innahuma, he says, inna shamsa wal qamara min ayatillah. The sun and the moon are from the signs of Allah. Wa innahuma la yankhasifani li mawti ahadin wala li hayatihi. They both will not become eclipsed because someone was born. They don't become eclipsed because someone was born or someone died. فَإِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهُمَا, when you see the two of them, فَكَبِّرُوا. So that's what Al-Imam Shawkani said here. وَنُدِبَ الدُّعَاءُ وَالتَّكْبِيرُ. The Prophet says, فَكَبِّرُوا, make takbir, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَدُعُوا اللَّهَ. He said, وَنُدِبَ الدُّعَاءُ. The Prophet said, make dua. That's why Shawkani said, وَنُدِبَ الدُّعَاءُ. Because the Prophet says, وَدُعُوا اللَّهَ, make dua. Do you understand? The Prophet said, فَكَبِّرُوا وَادْعُوا اللَّهَ. Shawkani says, rahimahullah, وَنُدِبَ الدُّعَاءُ وَالتَّكْبِيرُ. I hope that it is clear. He said, وَصَلُّوا وَتَصَدَّقُوا. Make salah and give what? Sadaqah. Shawkani said, وَالتَّصَدُّقُ. وَنُدِبَ الدُّعَاءُ وَالتَّكْبِيرُ وَالتَّصَدُّقُ. Those are the things that Al-Imam Shawkani has mentioned. Then he says, wal-istighfar. Istighfar is not in the riwayah of Aisha. It is in the riwayah of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. There in the Prophet says, فَإِذَا رَأَيْتُمْ شَيْئًا مِنْ ذَلِكَ. Al-Imam Ibn Khuzaymah reported it. It's also in Sahih Muslim. The Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَإِذَا رَأَيْتُمْ شَيْئًا مِنْ ذَلِكَ فَافْزَعُوا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. When you see that, quickly hasten to the remembrance of Allah. وَدُعَائِهِ وَاسْتِغْفَارِهِ. So istighfar is in the riwayah of who? Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. The one who added the fact that we should make istighfar. These are the points we want from these ahadith. So we come back to our text. That Al-Imam Shawkani said, Babu Solatu-l Khusoofain. Go? Here sunnatu. We said no. The correct thing is that here wajiba. Wa asahhu ma warada fi sifatiha. The most correct thing that has been reported about how it should be performed is that fi kulli rak'atin ruku'an. In every rak'ah, we make ruku twice. Wa warada salafatun. There are reports that say that the ruku should be 3. Wa arba'a. There are reports that say that the ruku should be 4. Wa khamsatun. There are reports that say that the ruku should be 5. All these reports are authentic. Ulama say the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not perform more than one Solatu-l Khusoof. So the source of the report is one. It is different from Solatu-l Khawf. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam performed many Solatu-l Khawf. So once the isnad is sahih for Solatu-l Khawf, we perform it. Because there were many, on many occasions, we traveled with them during battles, they made khawf, Solatu-l Khawf. But for Solatu-l Khusoof, only once. Only one. So how could he have made 2, 3, 5? In one single salah that he made on one single day. So they say it means that reporters erred in that report. That is why Al-Imam Ibn Abdul Barr and many others like Al-Imam Al-Bukhari before him, like Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, like Imam Al-Shafi, many of the A'imma, and that's the mazhab of Jumhur. They say this hadith of Aisha of Turuku, they say, Huwa as-sahhu ma fil bab. Aha. We have many reports that are authentic. And all of them cannot be correct. Because the incident was just one. So what are we going to do? We are going to take to the most correct report and the most widely reported. So this report was reported by Aisha. It was reported by Ibn Umar. It was reported by Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. It was reported by Abu Mas'ud al-Badri. It was also reported by Asma'u bint Abi Bakr as-Siddiq. These 5 people were together to report 2 rukus. So ulama say it is the most correct, and they all occur in Bukhari and Muslim, Bukhari, Muslim, Bukhari, Muslim. So they give preference to this report of Aisha and the rest of the companions over the rest. I hope that is clear to us. The incident was 1. So all these 2, 3, 4, 5 cannot all be correct. So in that case, we have to verify which of them should we rely on. and they've said we should rely on the report of Aisha and the rest of them. They say, يَقْرَأُ بَيْنَ كُلِّ رُكُوعَيْنِ. We have described it. There is qira'ah to read in between each of the ruku'as. وَوَرَدَ فِي كُلِّ رَكْعَةٍ. It is also reported that for every rak'ah, ruku'un, only one ruku' should be observed. That occurs in the hadith of Jabir ibn Samra. Ulama say it is the way he reported it. He just say you make nafila, you make salah. So some say what he's saying is that salah like other salah. So the riwayah that explains, the report that explains should be given precedence over the report that is not explanatory. I hope that is clear. He says, وَنُدِبَ الدُّعَى. We saw that in the hadith of Aisha. وَالتَّكْبِير. We saw that in the hadith of Aisha. وَالتَّصَدُّقْ. Make sadaqah. Look for something to give to somebody on the day of Solatu-l. Even if it is your cap. What will I give to somebody on this day of Khusoof? I'm not saying this my own is fine. The point is you can give somebody anything. Just look at the cap. More so if it's a cap you like, yarhamukallah. If it's a cap you like, this cap is fine. You can give me your Highlander, I will take. Just give me the kick. Inshallah. You can give somebody. Abu Aisha, what will you give? So the companions used to give. Somebody said he will give Jazakallah khairan. So Imam Shawkani said, Rahimahullah, wa nudiba du'a'u wa takbiru wa tasadduku wal istighfar. We are encouraged to make dua and make a lot of takbir, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Instead of busy chatting and giving people updates on Facebook, you should be saying it with your mouth. Some people will be telling people to do something they are not doing. If you tell, oh brother, don't forget that tomorrow is Thursday, there is fasting. You walk back. And you don't have a reason not to fast. Brother, don't forget that there are ahkamul jumu'ah. There are rulings concerning Solatu-l Jumu'ah. You will not observe it. May Allah protect us. It is common in this our own zaman. They say, brother, make sure you observe Solatu-l Khusoof in your mosque. Imboni wawa. If you are busy with Solatu-l Khusoof, you will not be chatting. One intelligent person should ask you, you also you won't have time to be telling me that I should pray Khusoof. You will be busy with Khusoof. So Imam Shawkani said, Rahimahullah, wa nudiba du'a'u wa takbiru wa tasadduku wal istighfar. We make istighfar, we make sadaqah, we make takbirat, and then we make dua for ourselves that Allah should forgive us, that and all of that may be involved in the expression called a dua. This is Babu Salatil Khusoofain. Inshallah, we should be having a class in the next week. But we will not be having it because I'm not likely to be around. So please let us make it the upper week. Biiznillah will come and read Solatu-al-Istisqa. Babu Salatil-Istisqa. The Salah we used to ask Allah to give us rain. How do we observe it? May Allah make it easy for us and protect us all till then and thereafter. I think it suffices for us to stop here. Alhamdulillah that we could end Salatul Khusoof today. May Allah accept it as worship from us. We have not finished our sunan about salawat. Because this salah is complex, I will request two of our brothers to help us demonstrate this salah, even if it is 2 minutes. Who and who will volunteer and demonstrate? Someone at the middle here. You. And Abu Abdullah. If you don't demonstrate it, if you ask me a question, I won't answer. Bismillah. I know he has a question, or you don't have. He says, see now he has. He has a question every day. Jazakallahu khair. Who is the Imam? You kept the Imam on your left. That's the correct. We've done all of this here. So they make takbir. They will now recite Fatiha. They may not necessarily recite Baqarah, but something like that. The brothers who have memorized from Surah-ul-Naba to Surah-ul-Nas, you can recite it. You can recite Al-Naba to Al-A'la for the first rak'ah, and you recite Al-A'la and Ghashiyah to Nas in the second rak'ah. La yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Do you understand? Wal qudratu manatu taklif. The basic rule about responsibility in Islam is ability to read what you are able to read. So now he makes takbir and goes on ruku. This ruku too, they are going to stand on the ruku for long. Wa ta'ala ruku ajiddan ko. They say Allahu Akbar again. Sami Allah liman hamdah. The two of you fold your hands after ruku. Why? Let them answer now. Oh, you see now? He said what is clear to him is that if you stand up from ruku, you should fold the arms. Yes, that's his opinion. He prefers. But Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, when he makes kunut in salah, he does not return his hands to his chest. He drops it after ruku. Ibn Abi Shayba has an asar that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, when he stands up for kunut, he makes kunut. After kunut, he would not drop his hands on his chest. You know, after kunut, the hand should go back to from where you folded it for kunut. He will return his hands down again. Radiyallahu anhu. With this, some of the scholars like Sheikh Muhammad ibn Umar or Ibn Salim Bazmul in his Sharh and Sifat Salat-ul-Nabi gave preference to the position that we should drop our hands after standing from ruku. But the point is that this standing is not that standing. This is another standing for another qira'ah. So basically they are entitled to fold their hands, whether it is his opinion or not. Do you understand? Now? Okay. So they are in the second standing on the first rak'ah. Say Allahu Akbar, now they will go on ruku. They will go on ruku. And they prolong the ruku jiddan again. After that, they stand up, Sami Allahu liman hamida again. This is now, you too, you have that view that you should fold your hands after. What is the basis for the view? Yes, some scholars say that, like Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin. He says, Hatta yarji Allah, until all the bones return to where they have come from. That is the basic issue around it. Huh? His salah. Okay, now they are going for sujood. Allahu Akbar. They stand up from sujood again to sit down. and then sujood again. And then they stand up for the second rak'ah, for the first standing in the second rak'ah. Okay. So they are on the second rak'ah now, fourth standing. Now the recitation will be extensive again. And then they go on ruku. They go on ruku. They stand up from ruku. They recite again. Lengthy recitals. This is the second standing in the second rak'ah. Now they go on sujood. On ruku, the second ruku of the second standing. Now they stand up again. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Rabbana lakal hamd. Now they go on sujood. This salah can take 2 hours. This salah they are observing like this. Now they sit down. They go on sujood again. There is tashahud, don't forget. Summa tashahada wa sallama. The Prophet made tashahud and made taslim. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then they make taslim. That is Solatu-l. It can go like that for 2 hours. What are the signs to recognize the eclipse of the moon? It is usually clear. You will see it. You will see the moon being covered, usually in the night. During Salatul Asr, can we make adhan and observe the salah in Jama'ah in a mosque where they have prayed Asr during Salatul-Zuhr because of rain? Yes. But it's not likely to occur immediately after a rain. But if it occurs, if it happens, you finish Salatul Asr, perhaps you make jam'u between Salatul Zuhur and Salatul Asri, and then you hear that there is Khusoof. We are just giving an illustrative situation. It's not likely to occur like that. If it happens like that, no problem. Observe Salatul Khusoof. Can we make the adhan and observe the salah in Jama'ah in a mosque where they have prayed after? Which salah is he talking about? You wrote it? Okay. Something happened here before the class. Okay. What was it? I wasn't aware. We're waiting for the muazzin to make adhan for Asr. Okay, you were now told that after Zuhur there was jam because at the time of Zuhur there was rain.
So one of us now can still have our own Jama'ah. And the brothers should make the
yes, that view is upon the view of repeating a Jama'ah in a masjid. If the person sees it lawful, they can make another Jama'ah. If the person does not see it lawful, then there is no Jama'ah. Do you understand?
Now came around, challenge the brother, why should we do that without...
The management of the masjid now came to say, why did you pray second Jama'ah in our masjid? Why did you make the adhan again?
The mom came around to say that Salah
those are some of the things that have been said regarding these matters. When the salah had been made in the masjid in Jama'ah, a proper thing is not to make another adhan. especially. Because it will bring tashwish to the people in the community. To shawishu ala, you bring confusion to the people. We prayed ourselves, what adhan are they making again? So they are very right to do so. Even if those people think that they can make adhan or they can repeat that salah. They can repeat, that is, pray a second jama'ah of asr after the first. But that is based upon the view that if the person believes that the second jama'ah is not lawful, then he should not make it. Everybody should pray on their own. But if they believe that the second jama'ah is lawful, then he can make a second jama'ah. Some people can believe that it is lawful, some people can believe that it is not lawful. The people will do upon what they are convinced about. Allahu Alam. But the adhan should not have been made. The adhan should not have been made. If each time that people want to gather for salah perhaps because they came late, those are part of the hikam behind not repeating the jama'ah in a masjid. If you are certain that say Anabi Lokirin, come and kiti one law, we will go and join them later. If you are sure that it is certain like this, there will not be al-mubadaratu ila salah. It will destroy the spirit of hastening for salah. Because you feel that, why am I hastening for salah? If they finish their own, call us and pray our own, we've not lost anything. So it's a safer thing not to observe that salah at all. Not to observe the salah. May Allah forgive all of us. So don't make the adhan. If you go to a masjid, they had prayed. If the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam would avoid observing salah in the masjid if he came in, instead he would go back to his house and pray. If it were that maybe there was one brother one way out, one brother was still completing his salah from amongst those who prayed that asr, maybe by the time they came you joined them, they can pray behind that person because he had already prayed with the people who have a jama'ah. So everybody can now line up behind that person and join him in another jama'ah that is different from the jama'ah of everybody not having prayed at all. Allahu Alam. So avoid making those kinds of adhan in the community so that do not bring distractions and cases like this. If you are in a gaba, like the Prophet told Malik ibn al-Khuwairis, radiyallahu anhum, and his people, when you travel, one of you should call the other. He's talking about the people who are away from the people. They are travelers. They are on the way. They are in the desert or in the bush. They are there. They are a community of people. They want to pray, make adhan and pray. But if each time people want to come to a masjid, they have to repeat the adhan, you destroy the essence of the first adhan in the masjid. Allahu Akbar. I think it will be sufficient for us to stop here today. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. دكتور.
Hold me.